Okay, picture this for a second. A huge city, basically grinding to a halt. Everyone told to just leave. Not for hurricane or, an earthquake. No, this was different. An invisible threat coming from a train.
It's quite something, isn't it? Because we usually think, natural disasters when we imagine these massive disruptions. But the Mississauga train derailment back on November 10th, 1979, well, it's this stark reminder that industrial accidents can be just as big, maybe even more complex to handle.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. The Mississauga derailment. We've got this document here that lays out the key facts.
Yeah.
And our mission, really, is to unpack it, understand what happened, why it happened, and the sort of ripple effects it had. It's a fascinating look at how one seemingly local event can just echo outward. So, ready to jump in?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing that just jumps out is the sheer scale of it all. Evacuating, what, around 200,000 people? In
Man.
peacetime, that's an enormous undertaking.
It really is. Okay, so let's pin down the specifics. November 10th, 1979, Mississauga, Ontario. It happened near Mavis Road and Dundas Street, a Canadian Pacific freight train derailment. And crucially, like you said, it was carrying dangerous goods. The document mentions multiple tank cars flipped over, explosions, fires, a real mess.
And the immediate overriding danger wasn't just the fire or the wreckage itself, it was the potential, the threat of chlorine gas escaping, along with other nasty stuff. That potential release, that was the trigger for getting everyone out.
Yeah, the document really flags the chlorine gas danger. Maybe you could explain for listeners why that specific chemical was such a huge worry.
Sure. Chlorine gas is, well, it's intensely toxic. It's a severe respiratory irritant. Even breathing in a little bit, low concentrations, can cause serious breathing problems quite quickly.
Okay.
And at higher levels, it can be fatal very rapidly. So the thought of a large cloud of this stuff drifting over a populated area, I mean, it demanded that immediate, large-scale evacuation, no question.
Wow. 200,000 people moved out of their homes. It's hard to wrap your head around that number. The document calls it one of the biggest peacetime evacuations ever, at least up to that point.
And if you step back, you see how this event really highlights the risks, doesn't it? The risks that come with moving hazardous materials right through our communities. Even with safety rules, accidents happen. And the consequences, they can be huge.
So what actually caused it? What set this whole dangerous chain reaction off? According to this document, it wasn't like a crash with another train or anything external. It was an overheated journal bearing on one of the cars. A hot box, they sometimes call
Yeah,
it.
a hot box. And, maybe not everyone knows what a journal bearing is. It's basically, think of it like the part on your bike wheel that lets it spin smoothly around the axle. It reduces friction.
Got it. So it helps the wheels turn freely, crucial part. But what happens when it gets too hot?
Well, if it doesn't get enough lubrication, or maybe there's just too much friction for some other reason, it can heat up like a lot. This extreme heat weakens the metal, weakens the bearing itself, and eventually it can just fail, break apart. Now imagine that happening on a train moving at speed. The forces are immense. It can easily make the whole wheel set unstable, throw it off track, which is exactly what happened in Mississauga.
So it's a kind of weakest link scenario.
Precisely. You've got all these safety systems for the train overall, but one relatively small part fails, and boom, massive cascading consequences.
A small mechanical problem triggers this huge chemical emergency.
Yeah.
And looking at what chemicals were on board, wow. The list includes chlorine, propane, caustic soda, styrene, and toluene. That's a potent cocktail.
It really is, and each one brings its own danger, right? Propane, highly flammable, that explains the explosions and fires people reported. Caustic soda, very corrosive, causes bad burns. Styrene, toluene, volatile compounds, potential health risks down the line. But yeah, like we said, the immediate #1 threat was that chlorine gas. Because you breathe that in, and it's instantly dangerous.
It's pretty sobering to think about the potential disaster. But here's the really remarkable thing the document points out. 0 fatalities. Nobody died.
That is the crucial takeaway, isn't it? It says so much about the emergency response. Think about it. Huge derailment, incredibly dangerous cargo, this massive evacuation, and everyone survived. It's a testament to the planning, the coordination, the fast action of the emergency teams.
Incredible.
Truly. You have to wonder, beyond just luck, what specific things worked so well? Were there parts of their emergency plan that were particularly effective? There must be lessons there.
And it wasn't over quickly either. The city was on high alert for, over 3 days, the document says? Imagine living through that, being one of those 200,000 people out of your home, not knowing.
Exactly. The logistics alone,
Yeah.
Finding shelter, food, just basic necessities for that many people, keeping them informed during this prolonged, uncertain time, it's a massive challenge.
But the story doesn't end there. The Mississauga derailment had consequences that lasted long after the emergency was over. This document specifically notes it led to major, lasting changes in railway safety rules right across Canada.
Yeah, that often happens after big accidents, doesn't it? They force a reevaluation. Regulatory bodies look at what went wrong, where the weaknesses were, and tighten things up. This event seems to be a clear case where a specific incident directly led to concrete improvements in safety standards. You can draw a direct line.
The document also talks about the leadership during the crisis. It mentions Hazel McCallion, who was the mayor of Mississauga then. Apparently, she got a lot of praise for how she handled it all.
And good leadership is just critical in a crisis like this, isn't it? Clear communication, staying calm, making tough calls under pressure, coordinating all these different agencies, it makes a huge difference. It sounds like Mayor McCallion really stepped up for her community. I mean, what specifically did she do that stood out? The document praises her, but what were the key actions, you think?
That's a good question, perhaps needing more detail than we have here. But the praise was widespread. And finally, the document really frames this as a landmark event in Canadian railway history, something people still talk about.
And rightly so. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, about the risks of industry so close to where people live. It underlines why strong safety rules and really solid emergency plans are just non-negotiable. But it also shows how resilient communities can be when faced with something unexpected and huge.
So let's sort of wrap this part up for the listener. We started with a small mechanical failure, right? An overheated part on a train axle.
The hot box.
The hot box, yeah. And that triggered this chain reaction. Derailment, dangerous chemicals spilled, the very real threat of toxic gas.
Leading to that massive evacuation, 200,000 people.
Biggest in Canada at the time. And yet the amazing outcome, no fatalities.
Which speaks volumes about the response. Plus, it wasn't just a Mississauga story, it changed railway safety across the country. That's the real takeaway for me, how one small failure point can have such enormous consequences, and why every safety check matters. Absolutely, and it leaves us with a thought, doesn't it? Thinking about today, how we transport hazardous materials now, global supply chains, maybe even riskier substances being moved around. How has our approach to being vigilant, to being prepared for emergencies, evolved since 1979? And what kind of constant attention do these seemingly routine systems still need to prevent something like Mississauga from happening again in our modern world? Something to think about.